What is up everyone, it's Saber here and welcome to another Naruto What If. If you end up liking the video, please consider subscribing. It's free and you can take it back at any time and it really helps me out, and this is my third channel, so if you want some more what ifs, go check out my other channels. And with all of the YouTube formalities out of the way, let's get into it. Training Ground 44. Naruto crossed his arms and channeled Earth Chakra into his arms and covered them in stone and successfully blocked the brutal kick aimed at his torso by Anko. The power behind the kick still pushed him back a few inches, but his arms were not bruised by the force behind the kick. Naruto's hands flashed through a series of hand seals and immediately breathed in deeply, and blew out a large ball made of fire at Anko, softly intoning fire-style Great Fireball Jutsu. Naruto didn't stand around to see his jutsu destroy a log of wood, as he had already body flickered to the upper branch of a tree from where Naruto had sensed a chakra spike, which indicated the use of a successful kawarimi used by Anko to escape his katan jutsu. As soon as Naruto landed on the tree, Anko summoned a large snake summon which launched itself at Naruto, who instinctively formed a Rasengan in his right palm, and jumped on top of the snake's hood and smashed the Rasengan into its head, making it immediately dispel. Naruto immediately flashed through a few hand seals and softly intoned water-style Wild Water Wave, blowing out a wave of dense water at the big ball of intense white fire that Anko had launched at him. Naruto immediately substituted himself with a log when he saw that Anko's Katan Jutsu had overpowered his Suiton Jutsu. Despite Suiton's elemental superiority over Katan, Naruto immediately sensed where the original Anko was present when she formed 10 Earth clones to attack him, and launched a hail of kunai boosted by a wind-style gale palm at the Earth clones. That attack managed to dispel 8 of the Earth clones, and the 2 remaining Earth clones were immediately set upon by 2 lightning clones of Naruto, which immediately dispelled upon contact with the Earth clones and sending lightning current into the Earth clones, immediately dispelling them. Naruto decided to stop their exchange of ninjutsu and blitzed Anko at full speed, releasing his chakra weights, which were at 350 kilograms on each leg. Naruto blitzed Anko with his katana using the basic moves that Yugao sensei had taught him, but Anko was vastly superior to him in kenjutsu, and as a result he suffered several shallow cuts over his torso from Anko's tanto. Deciding that engaging with Anko in kenjutsu was not to his advantage, Naruto engaged her in taijutsu with chakra scalpels formed at the tips of both his hands. Naruto relentlessly attacked her, attempting to cut some of her tendons in order to incapacitate her and win the spar, but she used the flexibility of snake-style taijutsu to bend her body in unnatural ways to avoid his chakra scalpels, as she had already seen how effective they were in some of their earlier spars when he had incapacitated her arms or legs with just a touch of his hands. Suddenly Naruto launched a kick at Anko's face. Seeing as Naruto couldn't use chakra scalpels with his legs, Anko blocked it with her right forearm, and to her surprise felt a sharp pain in her right arm as she found herself unable to use her right arm. It was only then that she saw that Naruto was wearing ninja sandals today instead of his usual boots, and that his right foot was glowing light green as he used the chakra scalpel technique with his right foot. Naruto grinned at the success of his plan and immediately rushed Anko at his full speed and attacked her with a flurry of strikes to incapacitate her, but she was extremely vigilant and avoided most of his blows even with her right arm not working, and used the Earth-style stone armor to block the moves which she couldn't block. Getting tired of Anko blocking all his moves, Naruto flashed through some hand seals and stomped on the ground, softly intoning lightning-style Banquet of Lightning, and launched branching streams of lightning at her which spread atop the ground. But Anko jumped high into the air to escape the lightning, but Naruto seized the chance as she couldn't maneuver well in air. Naruto launched Suiton Mizurappa Jutsu at her while a shadow clone of his channeled lightning into the water, increasing its power drastically, but Anko immediately pulled off a flawless Shunshin Jutsu mid-air and shunshined away to the top of a tree to avoid the electrified water, but she found an exploding clone of Naruto waiting for her. This continued 10 times as Naruto sensed where Anko was shunshining to and had exploding clones waiting for her as Anko used continuous kawarimi to escape the continuous assault of Naruto's exploding shadow clones. Anko felt a smile pulling at her lips as she silently appreciated Naruto's brilliant use, combining one low-level jutsu and pure lightning elemental manipulation to launch a near B-level jutsu against her. As Anko used another kawarimi to escape, she stumbled for a moment but managed to dodge 3 kunai that Naruto had thrown at her, but to her surprise she found Naruto smiling at her and holding his hands in the Usagi sign as he softly intoned lightning-style lightning barrier, forming a lightning barrier around her with the 3 kunai she had dodged as anchor points. Naruto, still holding his hands in the Usagi sign, said lighting-style electric implosion, and the inside of the electric barrier imploded in bright white lightning chakra, but Naruto was shocked to see the Anko inside the barrier crumbling into earth. Before Naruto could wonder where the real Anko had vanished, to the earth beneath him exploded, and 2 hands came out of the ground and caught his ankles in an iron grip. Instead of being panicked, Naruto just smirked and burst into lightning, as it turned out to be a lightning shadow clone, but the Anko who was electrocuted also turned out to be an earth clone. Naruto emerged out of the treeline and was trying really hard to sense Anko's position, as she seemed to have suppressed her chakra signature very well, and sensing small chakra signatures within the forest of death was tricky, as many animals within here also had small chakra signatures, as Naruto was concentrating hard to discern Anko's suppressed chakra signature from the other small chakra signatures in the forest of death. He suddenly found a kunai pierce his arm and another held at his throat, as Anko appeared behind him with a smug look on her face at having outsmarted him, but the Naruto in her grip suddenly exploded into dust, signifying the use of a dust clone, catching Anko unawares and making her cough in discomfort, as she inhaled a lot of dust, when suddenly Anko found herself paralyzed, as the real Naruto emerged from the ground using the earth-style hiding like a mole technique and placed a paralyzing tag on her left arm and activating it, instantly paralyzing her. Naruto deactivated the paralysis tag, freeing Anko to move her body, and she immediately took a bottle of water from Naruto to clear out her throat from the dust she had inhaled. As Anko recovered from the dust she had inhaled, Naruto took a small break to recover from his taxing spar with Anko. Very good, kiddo. It is the first time that you have defeated me in a spar. It is a good achievement, even if I was only fighting at about mid-Chunin level. That trick of yours where you used the chakra scalpels through your feet was inspired, as was your combination attack where you channeled lightning chakra through your Suiton Jutsu to increase its power dramatically. Anko praised him. Naruto's face glowed at Anko's praise, and he scratched the back of his head in embarrassment, as he was still not used to accepting such genuine praise from anyone. But don't become overconfident, kid. You still made some mistakes, like trying to engage me in Kenjutsu with only 1 month of Kenjutsu training under your belt. You have a lot of talent for Kenjutsu according to what I have heard from you, Gao, but be careful in getting into Kenjutsu duels with shinobi much more skilled, knowledgeable, and experienced than you till you have reached at least high Chunin level in Kenjutsu. I could have killed you many number of times during our Kenjutsu duel, but I wanted to test you, so I only gave you shallow cuts. But your chakra sensing has improved very well, as you were able to sense me even when I was suppressing my chakra signature, Anko said in a voice which was unusually stern, different from her usually jovial and teasing voice, as she didn't want Naruto to get a big head and a false overestimation of his own skills. She had seen many young shinobi get killed because they overestimated their skills, and she was too fond of her blonde student to let him die making such stupid mistakes. Now let us walk to Shizen's office at the hospital, and you can tell me how your training has progressed, as I have not been in the village much in the last month, Anko said as she wrapped her left arm around Naruto's shoulders, as they both leisurely walked out of the forest of death and towards the Konoha hospital to get their injuries treated. I have completed the first stage of nature manipulation exercise for fire, earth, and lightning. I am almost done with first stage nature manipulation exercise for water, and then I will start with that of wind. I have learned 2 or 3 jutsu for each element. Most of them are low-level jutsu but are very useful and take very less time to use, and are very chakra efficient. I have managed to cut down the hand seals required for almost all the jutsu after I mastered shape manipulation, after again mastering the Rasengan. Now I am able to form a Rasengan one-handed and in the blink of an eye. Since many of jutsu consist of both nature and shape manipulation, mastering the Rasengan has helped me greatly, as it is the pinnacle of shape manipulation. Kakashi tested my elemental affinity, and it turns out that my natural affinity is water, wind, and lightning, but Kakashi told me to focus equally on all the elements, as with my chakra reserves and shadow clone training method I could master the usage of all the 5 elements. I have increased my chakra weights to nearly 350 kilograms on each leg, and also increased the intensity of my physical training routine. Kakashi has me training with his summon Pakin on tracking and stealth, and he also regularly spars with me to get me used to fighting against a superior opponent and how to try to defeat such an opponent by tricking and deceiving them. Shizen Nachan has continued my training in poison resistance and is going to teach me how to make several low-level poisons, and she Also has me working on learning how to expertly use Senbon, as it is easiest to use Senbon to administer poison to enemies. I have progressed to the third volume of the Fuinjutsu books written by Mito-sama, which is about how to manipulate chakra networks. It demonstrates how chakra suppressor seals, paralysis seals, shock tags, and even resistance seals worked, how they connected to the chakra systems and their effects on the body. It also has a detailed diagram demonstrating the position of all the 361 Tenketsu in a human body. Once I am through with Volume 3, I am planning on replacing my chakra weights with resistance seals, as they are much better than the chakra weights, as they exert equal force on all parts of the body and not just on my legs. What about Kenjutsu training? I have heard from Yugao that you are proving to be quite skilled at Kenjutsu. Anko asked. Well, I definitely like Kenjutsu. Yugao sensei had me spend nearly 1 week on learning how to draw my sword smoothly from its sheath. Only once she was satisfied with the speed at which I was drawing my sword, she proceeded to guide me through some basic stances and katas of her basic Kenjutsu. We have not moved beyond drilling the basic stances and katas into my muscle memory. Yugao sensei sighed that only after those basics are drilled into my muscle memory and they become instinctual to me, she will move forward with my lessons on Kenjutsu. It is tiring work, but I know that what she is saying is true. Naruto said on the progress of his Kenjutsu training. Naruto had found that Yugao sensei was a no-nonsense person when it came to training and accepted nothing but perfection from him, but he had to admit that she was a very patient teacher and didn't shout at him when he made mistakes but instead corrected him gently. But she expected Naruto to never repeat the same mistake twice. She had also taught him how to channel lightning and wind chakra through his chakra conducting katana, which increased its effectiveness drastically. Volume 3 of the Fuinjutsu books proved very useful to his goal of creating a supplementary chakra supplementary system, and working in the morgue of the hospital had also greatly increased Naruto's knowledge of the human nervous system and how it interacts with other organ systems, as it helped greatly in Naruto's goal to create artificial extra nerve endings using seals to increase his reaction speed, hand-eye coordination and reflexes. But it would still be a long time before his intended custom seal came to fruition, as it was proving to be an extremely complicated process. But he had a feeling that by the time he finished Volume 3 of the Fuinjutsu books, he would have a solid idea on how to proceed with his idea. Kakashi had also given him the latest ANBU bingo book and had taken to questioning him about the various shinobi mentioned in them, and had tasked him with coming up with various ways to effectively battle against them based on the information available on their bingo book page. It was a very effective intellectual exercise. Kakashi also had taken to regularly playing shogi with him, or a clone of him rather, while Naruto was going through his physical training. As Naruto shook himself out of his reminiscence of the memories of the past month, Anko and Naruto spent the rest of the journey loudly arguing about the superiority of ramen over dango, making the people around them look at them weirdly as they got into a heated argument over such inane topics. Konoha Hospital Shizen, who was filling in the paperwork regarding a patient whom she was treating, was disturbed from her work when Anko and Naruto walked into her office. She was shocked to see Anko in much worse condition than Naruto. It looked like she couldn't use her right arm, and she had a few bruises on her body, while Naruto had a lot of shallow cuts on his hands and one on his cheek, but they were not bleeding, so it looked like Anko had only given him surface wounds. She immediately got up from her seat and made them both sit down on her couch and started tending to their wounds. As she tended to Anko's right arm, she noticed that the tendons seemed to have been cut in her right arm. Did Naruto tag your right arm with a chakra scalpel? It seems like a clean cut. It will take a few seconds, but it is easy to heal. So what happened? It looks like you had an intense spar, well, more intense than usual, as it is usually only Naruto who comes in with injuries. Shizen asked as she said about healing Anko's injuries. Well, the kid took me by surprise when he used chakra scalpels with his feet, and when I blocked his kick with my arm instead of dodging it, he disabled my arm. For the first time in the 2 months since I have started training him, he managed to defeat me by tricking me into thinking that I had him, but it turned out to be a dust clone, and I inhaled a mouthful of dust, and Naruto took advantage of my temporary discomfort to paralyze me with paralyzing seal, Anko said with clear pride in her voice at Naruto's progress. Even though I was fighting him at nowhere near my full strength, he was damn impressive. He is near low Chunin level at least, Anko said. Shizun was pleasantly surprised to hear that Anko had been defeated by Naruto. She turned towards Naruto and said, "Congratulations, Naruto, that is very impressive." Naruto blushed in embarrassment and said, "Thank you, Neichan. By the way, when did you learn to use chakra scalpels with your feet? I only taught you using your hands." Shizun Asked as she was surprised at what Naruto had done. It was a new concept, something which was definitely possible, but something that she had never heard anyone doing it before. Well, as you know, it took me nearly 2 weeks to get my use of the normal chakra scalpel jutsu battle ready, and then I thought, why not apply the same concept to my feet as well? No one will ever expect it, and it will take many of my opponents by surprise, allowing me to end the fight quickly and decisively by taking advantage of their surprise. Naruto answered. Shizen was happy to hear that Naruto was using his own ingenuity and intelligence to take apart all the jutsu he has learned and then tweaking them to make them compatible with his needs. He was much better than most of the current generation who think that just because they are able to use a jutsu they have mastered it, while Naruto works for countless hours to reduce the hand seals required to use a jutsu, working on increasing the chakra efficiency of a jutsu or creating alternative versions of the jutsu to suit his needs. That sense of perfectionism was the difference between an average shinobi and the true beasts of the shinobi world, like the different Kages and the S-ranked shinobi. Shizen brought her attention back to Anko and asked, so what do you think, is he ready for a C-ranked mission? Anko nodded her head in agreement and said, he is definitely ready for his C-rank mission. In fact, I am staying in the village for the next week, so I won't mind taking him to complete his C-ranked mission. That is, if you don't have any objection, as he is your apprentice after all. Not at all a problem. I am busy for the next week, so I don't mind you taking him out for his first C-ranked mission, but be safe, will you, and don't take too dangerous a mission. I want you to slowly ease him into the shinobi lifestyle. Shizen answered, I will mostly be taking a bandit extermination mission, as Naruto is more than capable of taking care of bandits and some low-leveled rogue samurai. It will also let me get him blooded, as from what I have seen of his past mission reports he has still not killed anyone despite being a genin for nearly 6 months before his suspension. Anko said, not sure how a person could be a shinobi for even a genin for nearly 6 months and not kill anyone. Naruto has a bad habit of showing leniency and mercy to his opponents. I want your help in breaking him out of that habit, Shizen asked. Anko answered, don't worry Shizen, I will break him out that habit. I will get him blooded on his next mission. It is time that Naruto learns about the true meaning of being a shinobi. Anko had no intention of letting Naruto die due to being unnecessarily merciful and lenient towards an enemy and hesitating to take his slasher life. Naruto was privy to the contents of the conversation between Anko and Shizen, as Shizen had sent him outside as she had asked Anko to remove her upper garments to heal some bruises. Shizen called out to Naruto to come back inside her office, and then she healed the injuries that Anko had inflicted on him, as well as healed his knuckles, which had become bloody from his morning physical training and taijutsu practice. She still didn't know how managed to injure his hands that badly. Every morning she had no idea about Naruto's practice of punching against a massive rock with his bare fists. For the moment he had not even managed to scratch the boulder with his punches and kicks, but he was determined to improve to the point that he could smash boulders with his blows without any chakra enhancement whatsoever. That massive boulder would eventually yield before him. That was Naruto's promise to himself. He had seen Tsunade Bachan casually smash apart boulders with her punches, and Naruto was determined to match her nearly unmatched taijutsu prowess, but he had still not landed even a finger on her in their spars that they had every day morning in the Senju compound training ground before they departed from home. Naruto knew that he was nowhere near her level, but it was still extremely embarrassing to lose in a fight against a woman who was fighting you using nothing more than one hand and didn't even move from where she was standing and had her other hand tied behind her. It regularly reminded him about the massive gap between their abilities and further fanned his drive to improve. After healing Naruto, Shizen said, Naruto, tomorrow you will be going with Anko on his C-ranked mission. Meet her at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning at the Hokage's office to receive your mission. Naruto was happy to learn that he would finally leave the village to perform a mission, as he had become tired of the same routine of training in the village for the past 2 months. This would provide him with a change of scenery. Naruto immediately bade goodbye to Shizen and Anko and made his way to his training ground in order to continue his training the next day. Found Naruto in the waiting hall outside the Hokage's office at 10 a.m. eagerly waiting for Anko-sensei's arrival so that they could take his C-rank mission. Naruto went over all the things that he had packed for the mission, which included a tent, a sleeping bag, dry rations, chakra pills, plasma pills to restore blood level in people who were bleeding out, some medicinal supplies like common poison antidotes, bandages, disinfectants, etc., a few sets of clothes, 2 extra packs of kunai and shuriken, And all these items were stored in a modified storage scroll that Naruto had come up with. Naruto also had an extra scroll that contained his sealing supplies. You never know when they might come in handy. Naruto didn't know for how long the mission would last, but he had learned his lesson from Tsunade to always supplies which are enough for at least 1 week when heading out of the village. Even if you are going on a short mission, they might come in handy, as you might never know when a simple mission on paper might get complicated, like the seemingly simple protection detail mission for which he had gone to Wave Country with Team 7. Naruto was pulled from his musings when he sensed Anko entering the waiting hall, and Naruto smiled at her and greeted her. "Good morning, Anko-sensei. Well, someone is excited to go on a C-ranked mission, and good morning to you too, kiddo. Now come on, let's get a C-ranked mission and leave. No need to waste time, Anko," responded Anko. Along with Naruto entered the Hokage's office to find Team 8 along with their sensei Kurenai were leaving the office with a mission scroll in her hand. Naruto didn't pay them any attention even when Kiba tried to provoke him by calling him a suspended shinobi who had only ever become a shinobi due to the Kyuubi's help, and called him a cheat, but Naruto ignored him as Inochi-san had told him that the best way to deal with braggarts was to ignore them. But he did smile at Hinata as he knew that she had never wished him any ill and had always tried to help him, like during the first round of the Chunin exams, despite the risk of her being found out and being disqualified. Now that he had stopped indulging in his self-pity after attending mind-healing sessions with Inochi-san, he could see that he should not have lumped her along with the other rookies. He had learned from Shizen that Hinata had inquired about his health condition from her almost every day he was in the hospital, but had never visited him. He could only assume that she was pressured by her bastard of a father Hayashi to not come see him. He was sure that his assumption was mostly correct, as the Hyuga clan head had always looked at him as if he was below his station to even talk with. He didn't blame Hinata for bending to the pressure of her father and clan, as he knew that Hinata was a very soft-hearted and gentle individual, and could not stand up against that amount of pressure exerted on her by her family. Naruto was happy to see that Hinata had also returned his smile. He made up his mind to interact more with her after he had returned from his mission. Her father be damned, she was someone he would be happy to call a friend. Naruto was brought out of his musings when Tsunade addressed himself and Anko and said, "So Anko, seeing as you are here with Naruto, am I right in assuming that you plan to take him on a C-ranked mission?" "You are right, Tsunade-sama. I think he is ready for a higher ranked mission, as Kakashi is on a mission and Shizen is busy for the next week. I decided to take him on the mission," Anko responded in a confident tone, displaying her confidence in Naruto's abilities. Tsunade nodded her head in agreement. She knew that Naruto was ready as she regularly sparred with him, but she had wanted to know Anko's opinion. She had also heard from Shizen at the previous day's dinner about how Naruto had defeated Anko when she was fighting him at low to mid Chunin level, so the available C-ranked missions that I have mostly consist of protection detail missions and escort missions, courier missions, and a few bandit elimination missions. "So Anko, what type of mission do you want?" Tsunade asked Anko, although she already had an idea about what mission Anko would request, as it was the best option to blood the new genin with minimum risk. "I would like to take a bandit elimination mission, Tsunade-sama. It will help me get Naruto blooded with minimum risk to him, as he is more than a match for common bandits, and if there are any rogue nins in the group, then I can take care of them." Naruto swallowed a gulp when he heard what Anko-sensei said, as though he knew mentally that he would have to kill someday. This declaration of Anko solidified that occurrence in the near future, but he steeled his nerves, as he knew that this was just another obstacle that he would have to overcome. Tsunade dug out a scroll from the different mission requests and tossed it to Anko, saying, "This is a mission request for bandit elimination from Kuba Town. It is located near the border of Fire Country with Land of Grass. We get the majority of our chakra metal from Kuba Village, but these last few days it seems that bandits are attacking and looting the shipments of raw chakra from the merchants coming to Konoha from Kuba Village. The attacks are happening a short distance from Kuba Village, so I want you to head out to Kuba Village and take stock of the situation, determine who is doing this and eliminate them with extreme prejudice. Send out a message that anyone who tries to steal from Konoha will be dealt with extreme violence." There was a dangerous undercurrent in Tsunade's voice and an angry expression on Tsunade's face when she told them to slaughter the offenders, as she was tired of others taking advantage of Konoha's preference for peace instead of conflict, and thinking that they could get away with anything. She partially blamed Sarutobi-sensei for his handling of the Kumo Hyuga affair. For this attitude of Konoha's enemies, he should have never given in so meekly to the ridiculous demands of the Raikage. It was obvious that the Raikage was bluffing, as they had not entirely recovered from the damage inflicted to them during the Third Shinobi War by Kushina and Minato. Naruto gulped in nervousness, as he had never seen Tsunade Bachan sound so serious and dangerous, but he fortified his thoughts and steeled his expression with a determination to succeed in the mission at all costs and send a warning to Konoha's enemies. Tsunade smiled softly when she saw Naruto steel his expression and the determination in his eyes. She had full confidence that Naruto would perform well. We accept the mission, Tsunade-sama, Anko said, bowing slightly in respect to Tsunade-sama, and left the Hokage's office. With Naruto in tow. As soon as they left the Hokage's office, Anko turned towards Naruto and said in a deadly serious voice, Naruto, I want you to pack all your essential supplies for at least 3 days, maybe more. Meet me at the village gates in an hour. Naruto decided to spend the hour he had before he was supposed to meet Anko meditating near the waterfall that was present at the back of the Senju compound. He knew that the meditation would calm his nerves. Naruto was interrupted from his meditation when he sensed both Tsunade-ba-chan and Shizune-chan approaching him. Naruto slowly opened his eyes to see both of them walking towards where he was seated next to the waterfall. As soon as they approached him, Naruto suddenly found himself with his head pressed into Tsunade's bosom as she tightly hugged him, nearly crushing him with how tightly she was holding him. Afterwards, Shizune hugged him and gave him the same advice as Tsunade. Naruto departed to the village gates to meet up with Anko and proceed to Kuba village. Naruto only had to wait for about 10 minutes before Anko turned up, and after showing the mission scroll to the gate guards and signing themselves out, Naruto and Anko headed towards Kuba village. They moved at near low chunin speed via tree hopping. They didn't speak much during the travel and just traveled in peace. It took Naruto and Anko nearly till mid-afternoon to reach Kuba village. Kuba village was a small mining town, located in fire country sharing a border with grass country. It was surrounded by large hills which were abundant in chakra metal, which was very valuable. There were many small fields around Kuba town which were mostly used by the villagers to feed themselves. Kuba village was Konoha's main source of chakra metal since the craftsmen of Land of Stone joined hands with Iwagakure during the First Shinobi War. The rest of Konoha's requirement of chakra metal was fulfilled by imports from Iron Country. Naruto had sensed that there was no shinobi presence in the village, but there appeared to be many people acting as security for the village, and they were all carrying weapons like simple wooden clubs or swords. Naruto and Anko approached the security guard at the gate and showed him their headbands with the Konoha hideout, and they were immediately allowed entry along with a guard offering to show them to the house of the village head. Naruto and Anko followed the guard as he led them to the village chief's house. When they reached the house, the guard at the gate asked them to wait a moment as he went in to announce their presence. As they waited in the house's veranda, Naruto looked around and saw that the house was made of wood and was fairly big. It was 3 stories high and seemed to be spacious. The house also seemed to have a spacious yard both at the front and back of the house. There was also a small beautiful garden in the empty space in front of the house, and the plants looked to be regularly taken care of and looked healthy. The guard returned a few moments later and said, "Please enter. I have informed Hibiki-sama about your arrival, and he has asked me to escort you to him, so if you would please follow me, I will lead you to him." Anko nodded her agreement, and they followed the guard inside. He led them to the chief's office, which was located on the 2nd floor. As they entered his office, the guard took his leave, and Naruto glanced around the room. It was an elegant room with expensive rugs, antique pieces of art, and what looked to be a beautiful teak desk behind which the aforementioned Hibiki-san was seated comfortably in an elegant chair. He was an elderly, big, corpulent man who had the looks of someone who used to tower over people in his youth. He smiled brightly at them and said, "Thank you for responding promptly to my mission request. Already 2 shipments of chakra metal have been stolen by the bandits. It has cost us a lot of money. They seem to always know when our shipments are going out. I suspect that someone on the inside is helping them, but other than my suspicions, I have no proof. We don't even know how many bandits are there or even a rough estimate of them. We don't even know if they have any shinobi with them. Although I have requested a C-rank mission, I am not sure if it will escalate. My son-in-law insisted that we were only dealing with bandits and that requesting a higher class mission would cost unnecessary money." Naruto grimaced as he heard everything that Hibiki-san he said. He cursed his fate, as it seems that every C-rank mission that he ever went on seemed to get complicated. Anko pondered over the information she had been given and said, "We would like to first scout out the bandit camp. It should be located somewhere nearby, and then we will assess if any reinforcements are required. Now, if you will excuse us, Hibiki-sama, me and my student would like to get started on our assignment. If you would kindly tell us the place where the attacks on the shipments have taken place, then we can start from there." Anko and Naruto took their leave after Hibiki-san ordered a guard to take them to the location of the first bandit attack. But before they left, Hibiki-san inquired about their names as they had not introduced themselves to him. After introducing themselves, they immediately left as they didn't have much time left, as according to Hibiki-san, another shipment of chakra metal was supposed to leave for Konoha the next day afternoon. As Anko and Naruto reached the location of the first attack, which was a few miles away from Kuba village on the caravan route to Konoha. Anko thanked their escort and bade him to return back to the village as they no longer had any further need for him. As soon as the guard was out of earshot, Anko turned towards Naruto and said, "Naruto, I want you to create 10 shadow clones and send them in all the directions I want them to act as scouts, and sense the location of the bandits, tell them to try to capture one of the bandits if possible. He can serve as a source of information about the scope of their numbers and their operation." With nary a thought from Naruto and a shimmer of air, 10 shadow clones of Naruto formed beside him and set off to follow Anko's instructions. As they waited for the clones to return, Anko asked Naruto, "So kid, how are you feeling?" "I don't know how to feel about this. All the C rank missions that I have been on have always been complicated," Naruto said, and for example he told her about his missions to Wave Country, the land of snow, Takigakure, into the land of tea. Anko just whistled in appreciation and said, "You sure lead a charmed life, kid." "Yeah, that is just a polite way to say that I am cursed," Naruto grumbled as they elapsed into silence. One of Naruto's scouting clones returned with what looked like a knocked out man draped over his shoulder. The clone dropped the man in front of them and said, "Boss, I found this man trying to spy on us and was hiding a little distance from here." Naruto nodded his head and dispelled his clone, feeling some of the chakra that he had used to create the dispelled shadow clone returning to him, and then Naruto set up a very rudimentary silencing barrier around them using some pre-made seals as anchor points, as he knew that they couldn't let the captured bandit alert his comrades by shouting. Meanwhile, Anko woke up their captive with a light jolt of lightning chakra to his chest. Haru was an ordinary low-level bandit belonging to a group of bandits who were recently targeting the chakra metal shipments from Kuba village. He was born in the land of claws. Haru had always had a sadistic temperament and especially enjoyed taking out his sadistic tendencies on women and children. He had enjoyed taking his turn raping some of the women kidnapped by their group from the nearby villages. His group of bandits had also killed many genin by overwhelming them with their numbers. He was on a routine mission from his gang leader Iwashi to scout a pair of Konoha shinobi who had been contacted to eliminate their group. His boss had gotten this information from someone inside Kuba village. Haru had been uncomfortable with messing with Konoha shinobi, but he reluctantly followed his orders. Killing a few shinobi from minor villages like Kusa was one thing, but messing with shinobi from the supposed strongest shinobi village, utter idiocy. Haru raged within the confines of his mind, but Haru knew that they held the advantage over the Konoha shinobi as they couldn't possibly know about the IWA shinobi assisting their bandit group in the attacks on the shipments. That was the sole reason that their group had dared to mess with shipments belonging to Konoha. Otherwise they usually limited their operations to countries without shinobi villages of their own, or only had small shinobi villages. Haru was so lost in his thoughts that he never noticed Naruto's clone sneak up behind him and chop hard on the back of his neck, instantly rendering him unconscious. Haru jerked awake as his body felt like as if someone had shocked him. He turned his head around in panic as he didn't recognize his surroundings. He came face to face with two shinobi wearing Konoha headbands looking at him as if he were a curious animal. One of them was a blonde kid, most probably a genin, but the other lady looked to be an experienced kunoichi and was dressed very provocatively. She was holding a kunai in her right hand and was licking the edge of the kunai as she watched him with a bloodthirsty expression akin to how a predator eyes its prey. He knew that he was in for a rough time when he saw her expression. Anko wanted to break the guy quickly, so she concentrated her entire killing intent on him, making him see horrible visions of his painful death. She then slowly approached him and said in a dangerous voice, "Now you will tell me everything I want to know. Otherwise, I promise you all the visions you saw will be nothing compared to what I can really do to you. I am a part of Konoha's TI department and my specialty is torturing and breaking the subjects, and my name is Anko Mitarashi. For your kind information." Haru was shaking badly as his mind went over all the horrible visions that bitch had made him see. He had pissed himself in fear when he learned that he had fallen into the hands of Anko Mitarashi. That woman was very infamous, along with Ibiki Marino, to be expert TI professionals and were reputed to be capable of breaking anybody for information he didn't want to learn. If that was the truth firsthand, he quickly nodded his agreement as he hoped that they would spare him if he gave them all the information they had. After breaking their prisoner, Anko proceeded to extract all the information that they could from him. While Anko was busy interrogating the prisoner, Naruto's shadow clones had returned from their scouting mission and had dispelled, passing on all the information to the original Naruto. After wrangling out all the useful information from the bandit, Anko simply twisted his neck, snapping his spine and killing him instantly. Naruto was shocked at how casually Anko-sensei had killed the man, but he knew that they were not in a position to hold him prisoner currently, as from the information that they had obtained from the prisoner as well as from his clones, they had a lot of enemies to deal with after killing the bandit. Anko punched at a tree in frustration and calmed herself. After a few months, she then turned towards Naruto and asked, "Alright kid, now what information did the clones obtain from their scouting mission?" Naruto composed himself and calmly replied, "There are nearly 200 bandits who are divided into 2 different camps in 2 different locations. There appears to be a genin team of IWA shinobi along with their Jounin sensei at each camp, but the bad news is that one of the Jounin sensei is in the Diamond Dog of IWA. I recognized him from the bingo book. The other Jounin seems to be average at best, as his chakra reserves are not anything impressive." Anko cursed out aloud it, "And how that guy is one tough bastard. He is a solid A-ranked shinobi, and even aside from him we have to deal with nearly 200 bandits as well as 6 genin and another Jounin." Anko thought over their situation for a few minutes, and finally came to a decision and said, "We will try to eliminate as many of them as we can today night, but I will send a message to Konoha for possible reinforcements if IWA send any more shinobi to attack the caravan departing tomorrow. Our advantage is that not all the shinobi are at the same location. We will first take out the camp with Itten in it, as I would have to be at my best to stand a chance to defeat him, and you will have to take care of the genin with him as well as all the bandits in that camp. Can you do that?" Naruto was scared, as Anko was basically asking him to take care of an army on his own, but he knew that it was his duty and hardened his features, saying, "Don't you worry Anko-sensei, I will take care of them, but you be sure to take care of it, and I have a few seal ideas that can be useful to us, and also Kakashi-sensei has taught me the Kirigakure no Jutsu, and it will be very useful in dealing with the bandits without much difficulty. As for Itten, do you have any ideas on how to defeat him, because from what I know he can cover his body with a diamond hard armor?" Anko smirked at Naruto and said, "His external body may be strong as diamond, but his internal organs are as vulnerable as everyone else's, and unfortunately for him, poison is my speciality, but I need a delivery mechanism to inject poison into his body, as his external body is nigh impenetrable to regular attacks from poison weapons, and I have no strong attacks like the Chidori or the Rasengan that are strong enough to shred his defenses and outright kill him in a fight." Naruto was thinking about the problem of a suitable delivery system for the poison when he had an epiphany and suddenly asked Anko, "I can create a multifaceted seal tag to hold the poison as well as release it as a gas in the form of an explosion. You can use it as a smoke bomb to trick the enemy into breathing it by making it seem like it is simply smoke, but the question is if the poison will be effective when it is in gaseous form." Anko was pleased with Naruto's idea and said, "You get to work on creating that seal. While the poison I have in mind will be less effective in gaseous form, it will be more than enough to even the odds between us. It will slow down his body responses and also mess a little with his chakra control, meaning that his speed will be decreased and the chakra cost of maintaining his diamond armor will become untenable in a long fight, which is what I will be engaging him in. I will engage him in a battle of attrition, and as battle progresses he will suffer from nausea and disorientation, making him an easy target. Now I want you to set up camp nearby and take a nap while your clones work on the seal, and I will keep watch as we will most probably awake the entire night, and I want you to be sufficiently rested." Naruto knew that what she had suggested made sense and immediately set up camp in a nearby densely covered apple grove and created 10 clones to keep watch over the camp, and another 5 clones to work on the seal he had in mind, and another modified storage seal which could hold a large amount of lightning chakra in it which can be released in burst, and another seal to hold a large amount of water. He assigned another 5 clones to work on the last 2 mentioned seals. After completion of that task they would wake him up. He expected to sleep for a solid 6 hours before the seals were completed, and he unsealed his sealing supplies and handed them to his clones while he unrolled his sleeping bag in order to take a nap. Naruto was woken from his sleep by his clones and saw that he had slept for nearly 5 hours and that it was starting to get dark outside. He immediately dispelled his clones and saw that they had managed to modify a standard storage seal to store nearly 100 gallons of water which they had collected from a nearby lake, and they had then modified the aforementioned new seal to store poison and expel it in the form of a gas by using the power behind an explosive tag. Then 5 of his clones had created a new storage seal which could store nearly up to a low S rank jutsu worth of lightning chakra and could expel all this into a target. When this seal was slapped on them and activated, Naruto had taken the basic mechanics of a chakra flash tag and modified according to his need. Naruto had then explained the function of this seal to Anko and calibrated it to activate only for her. Anko thought that it would be an excellent way to finish off Itten, as she didn't know any high-ranked lightning jutsu that would be effective against a strong earth user. Like much lightning chakra released in a single burst would destroy even Itten's infamous diamond skin jutsu, which was after all a Doton jutsu, though an incredibly advanced one. She would have to slap it onto him. After tiring him out a little from the use of the poison, she had to admit that Naruto was really a genius with seals, as in just 5 hours he had modified a simple storage seal and a flashbang seal to such a great degree, as Anko was musing. Overall, this Naruto had pumped nearly an S-ranked lightning jutsu worth of lightning-natured chakra into the seal and handed it over to Anko, warning her to be careful with its use, as he didn't have the chakra to spare to charge another one, and they would need all their chakra to last through the night and complete their mission. Naruto and Anko then set out towards the camp where Itten was located. They settled on a tall tree a little distance from the bandit camp and waited for the night to truly fall and darkness to completely cover the camp before starting the slaughter. Naruto sensed all the people in the camp and reported there are a total of 120 people in the camp, including 4 shinobi from IWA. One of them is Itten, and he has chakra nearly equal to Kakashi. The other 3 seem to be average genin. One of the genin seems to have an affinity for lightning, while the other 2 genin and Itten have an earth affinity. You take care of the genins and the bandits while I take care of Itten and prevent him from interfering in your fight, as I am sure that as soon as you start slaughtering the bandits, Itten will rush out. Send out your clones to slaughter the bandits while you personally take care of the genins, and don't let any of them help Itten. I am not strong enough to deal with Itten and another shinobi. At the same time, Anko instructed Naruto. They waited for another 2 hours, and finally the surroundings were all shrouded in pitch black shadows, and on a signal from Anko, Naruto quickly flashed through 3 hand seals, ending with the snake seal, and used the water from 3 water bottles they had remaining and slowly covered the entire bandit camp in dense fog. And immediately 10 shadow clones of Naruto materialized behind him and rushed off into the mist to take care of the bandits. There were 20 bandits and 2 genin acting as security for the camp, and while they were surprised to see the mist slowly covering the camp and obscuring their vision, they didn't think much of it, as it was currently winter and such mists rolling in from the grasslands of adjacent Kusa no Kuni was common in this part of Hai no Kuni during winter. Naruto had taken advantage of that very fact, and his clones slipped into the camp taking advantage of their obscured vision, but not before slitting to the throats of all the bandits, acting as lookouts, but not engaging the genins yet, as he wanted to deal with all the bandits before dealing with the genins in case his clones failed to kill them and they raised an alarm which would make his task more difficult. The clones then slipped into the camp and went about quickly killing all the sleeping bandits before the genins on the lookout realized that the bandits who were on the lookout with them were all killed and raised an alarm. Naruto's clones were almost done with killing all the sleeping bandits when all of them dispelled within seconds of each other. The original Naruto only blinked twice when he received the memories of his dispelled clones, and he had to use all of his willpower to stop himself from puking his guts out as he experienced himself killing nearly 100 people. But he steeled his stomach, telling himself that there would be time later for him to break down if they survived. Looks like Itten has woken up. He dispelled all my clones easily, but they took care of most of the bandits. There are only about 25 bandits left, Naruto reported in a calm, detached voice as he completely suppressed all his emotions in order to prevent a breakdown and complete the mission. Anko noticed that Naruto was suppressing his emotions, but knew that now was not the time for her to address that issue. She instead ordered, "It's time, kid. I will engage it and you take care of the remaining bandits." And the genin Naruto simple nodded his head in agreement, and they both dashed off to carry out their part in the mission. Itten was a heavy-set burly man, with huge rippling muscles and a thick-set mustache, dressed in the traditional IWA Jounin outfit. He, along with his genin team, was currently in Hai no Kuni to carry out orders from the Tsuchikage to steal shipments of chakra metal to Konoha. This was also to test the Konoha ninja. After their recent losses, he had earlier in the afternoon received a report from a spy in Kuba village that Konoha had sent Anko Mitarashi and some blonde genin, who was apparently an Uzumaki, to deal with the bandits. Itten was not much worried, as they vastly outnumbered the Konoha ninja, and he could easily deal with Mitarashi, and he could only imagine the sensitive information that Mitarashi would have on Konoha if they could capture her and break her, as she worked in the TI department of Konoha and was thus knowledgeable about a lot of sensitive information. And though the Uzumaki were known to be seal masters, the kid with her was apparently only a genin, and even that blonde devil Namikaze took till he was into his late teens till he became a seal master. He was sure that his genin team could take care of him. Capturing an alive Uzumaki could also be valuable to IWA, but him being dead would also be not a big loss. The real prize was Mitarashi, but looking around him now, as most of the 120 bandits in his camp were slaughtered, he couldn't help but growl in frustration when he had woken up due to his ingrained sense of danger. This was not what he was expecting. He had dispelled all the clones who had killed the bandits under the cloak of what appeared to be the hidden mist jutsu. He wondered how a Konoha ninja knew that jutsu. He signaled to his genin students to gather around him, and once they approached him he said, "You three take care of the genin, I will take care of Mitarashi. Try to take the genin alive. An alive Uzumaki is quite valuable, but no big loss even if he is dead." He addressed one of his genin and said, "Jiruchi, you use the clan techniques of the Suzumori clan to track him in the mist. He can't hide from you in the mist. Take him by surprise by using his technique." Against him, Jiruchi was the clan heir of the Suzumori clan, which specialized in sensing their opponents through the vibrations in the ground caused by them. He had full confidence that he could sense the Konoha genin, and together with both his teammates they could take care of him easily. His musings were interrupted when a massive fireball was launched at himself and his students from the mist. The heat from the jutsu was intense and evaporated most all of them escaped from the jutsu by using the Kawarimi, but it succeeded in Anko's plan to separate them from each other, for which she had Naruto use a wind jutsu to increase the power behind her great fireball technique. Naruto had used the distraction caused by the fire jutsu to create a single shadow clone to take care of the remaining bandits, while he used the hidden mist jutsu again to envelop a limited area in an even thicker mist than before, and now he was using his sensory skills to move around and fight in the mist. He immediately used the Shunshin to appear behind the genin closest to him and impaled him through the neck, only for him to turn into mud, and Naruto found himself with a sword through his stomach. But Naruto in turn burst into lightning, thereby paralyzing the genin who had used an earth clone to try to trick him, and Naruto used this opportunity to appear behind the paralyzed genin and used the opportunity to remove his head from his shoulders. After killing the first genin, Naruto disappeared into the mist, easily avoiding the mud bullets launched at him by another genin who shouted at him in anger at killing his friend. As Naruto continued using the mist to conceal his movements and attack the other two genin, he found himself always faced by clones or by traps, as if someone was sensing his movements. He had managed to avoid many explosive traps just in time, only due to his mastery over the Kawarimi, but he had still suffered a few first-degree burns on his arms. But it was getting tiring, and then he remembered something Kakashi had taught him about a clan in IWA who could sense a person by the earth's vibrations. He decided to test his theory by creating multiple shadow clones to confuse the genin. By moving in different directions, he managed to lead the sensor towards him by staying still and allowing his clones to herd him in his direction. Naruto waited patiently, and when the genin who was sensing him came into his reach, he lunged forward with a burst of chakra and channeled lightning chakra through his katana and impaled the genin through his throat, despite him using what appeared to be the stone armor jutsu, as lightning was strong against earth, and that was the reason Naruto channeled lightning chakra through his katana to bypass any defenses the genin may have used, as he didn't want to miss a chance to take out the genin in one blow. He died with blood gushing out of large hole in his throat. Naruto then decided to wrap up the fight and used his fastest Shunshin to appear behind the remaining genin, who in his anger at the death of his friends had gone into a manic state and was throwing around lightning jutsu hoping to hit him, and when he missed him, shouting out at him to come out and face him openly instead of fighting like a coward. And while Naruto could use his wind jutsu to face the genin head on, he saw no need to waste his chakra when he might need it during the remainder of the night, so he appeared behind the boy and removed his head from his shoulders before he could even sense Naruto's presence behind him. Naruto sighed in relief when the shadow clone that he had sent after the remaining bandits had dispelled, providing him with the details of it, hunting down all of them and not letting any one of them escape to warn their remaining comrades in the other camp. Seeing as his task was done, Naruto dispelled the mist using the futon Rapushu jutsu. Naruto immediately moved towards the area where he could sense Anko still fighting with Itten could sense that Anko's chakra reserves were flagging and that Itten still appeared to have a low Jounen's amount of chakra despite their trick with the poison working. As on reaching where they were battling, Naruto saw that Itten was looking to be slightly disoriented, but he still appeared to be able to keep Anko at bay with his superior taijutsu, and he didn't give her a chance to place the lightning burst seal that Naruto had given her onto it, and Naruto knew that they would have to finish this fight quickly as Anko needed to be in a position that she is able to fight the other genin. Deciding to help her out, Naruto created 10 lightning Kage Bunshin which rushed the IWA Jounin with their katanas drawn and sparking with lightning chakra. Anko was not sure how much more effort it would take to finally put down this beast of man. She was down to nearly half of her chakra reserves, and had suffered a few bruises from his devastating taijutsu that he used effectively against her, and hit her with a few glancing blows. Even though she was using the incredible flexibility of her snake-style taijutsu to evade his crushing blows which would have killed her if they hit her cleanly, she had managed to get it to inhale the poisonous fumes by disguising it as a simple smoke bomb, and it was showing its effects as he seemed to not have much control over his chakra and was spending his chakra in an unsustainable fashion against her. But the bastard seemed to have some impressive endurance and was highly skilled, as even while being slightly disoriented and suffering from loss of chakra control, he still managed to hold Anko at bay. And just when Anko was about to tag him with the lightning seal, he swallowed 2 chakra pills, boosting his chakra reserves back to Jounin level. It seems that the poison lost a lot of its potency when it was turned to gaseous state. I will have to drastically improve myself if I survive this mission. This is just pathetic, were the thoughts going through Anko's mind as she continuously evaded Itten's boulder-crushing blows. As he was once again covered in his signature diamond armor, she had managed to counter his ninjutsu with the small number of lightning jutsu that she had learned from her bastard former sensei Orochimaru, but as taijutsu was proving to be beyond her ability to counter, Anko had to admit that she had lost her edge. After leaving ANBU and joining the TI department, she was provided a slight reprieve when suddenly 5 clones of Naruto blitzed Itten and attacked him with their lightning-enhanced blades, as he didn't even try to dodge their blades, as he just seemed to try to catch his breath so that he could take care of Anko and her genin, whose presence here indicated that most probably his genin team were already dead. He seemed to take a sadistic pleasure in Naruto's and Anko's frustration in not being able to pierce his diamond armor jutsu. Naruto's clones kept attacking him with their lightning-enhanced blades and using well-timed kawarimi to avoid his counter-attacks, which would most probably dispel them. Anko disengaged from Itten and took a second to catch her breath. She was about to rush in to help Naruto's clones, who were not having much luck in penetrating his diamond armor, when the original Naruto shined beside her and said, "Anko-sensei, we will have to finish this fight quickly. I can sense the bandits and the IWA shinobi from the other camp closing in on us. It will take them at least another 5 minutes to reach us. There seems to be a sensor among them, as they most likely sensed the chakra being used here, as they were camped too far away to see the effects of our fight." Anko cursed out loud in frustration and said, "The situation seems to be quickly deteriorating, and I can't seem to be able to breach his defenses, and we can't give him a chance to recover, as if he recovers a little then he will kill us, especially with approaching reinforcements. We'll have to kill him before any of the approaching enemies reach here." "Yeah, about that. I sent 15 shadow clones to lay traps and whittled down the number of approaching bandits who seemed to be at the front of the approaching enemies, while the IWA shinobi seemed to be at the back of the group, so we can expect a reprieve of a few extra minutes, but not much unless my clones somehow manage to kill all the bandits. As for his killing Itten, I may have an idea on how to deal with him," Naruto said. Anko thanked Kami for Naruto's foresight, as it may just save their lives, as the reinforcements that she had requested from Konoha while Naruto was taking a nap didn't look they would be arriving anytime soon to be of any use to them. She had sent a shadow clone of hers to Kuba village to use one of the trained hawks which were kept in every village in Fire Country to send emergency messages to Konoha, so she was not sure why reinforcements had not yet arrived, and as she was unable to come up with any solution to their current problem, she told Naruto to proceed with his idea. Naruto told her his plan and just asked her, "Get ready to use your strongest lightning jutsu on my signal," and rushed to attack Itten head-on. And as soon as he was within reach, he unsealed the water scroll he had with him, unleashing nearly 100 gallons of water on Itten and Naruto's clones in a giant tidal wave of water. And with a signal from Naruto, his clones all latched onto Itten and burst into lightning preventing him from using Kawarimi or the Shunshin to escape, and shouted out, "Now Anko-sensei," and at the same time Anko and Naruto flashed through hand seals and slapped their palms on the ground covered with water, shouting out lighting-style electromagnetic murder, lighting-style banquet of lightning, as they launched devastating lightning streams into the water, dousing it in nearly 100 gallons of highly electrified water, which was nearly equivalent to an S-rank jutsu in power. Itten was almost electrified to death, but with great difficulty he managed to maintain his diamond armor in the face of what was an S-ranked collaboration jutsu, but it had taken up almost his entire remaining chakra reserves, leaving him running on fumes. Itten was panting with exhaustion and barely managed to tilt his head to the side, avoiding the kunai that Naruto had launched at his head, only to be shocked as Naruto had substituted with the kunai that he had dodged, and before Itten could react to his surprise Kawarimi, Naruto drilled the Rasengan into his back, leaving him unconscious from the extensive damage he had taken from the Rasengan, but he fell unconscious. Itten had managed to get a proper look at Naruto's face and see the infamous Rasengan in his hand, and couldn't help but curse Kami that he was going to die at the hands of that cursed Namake's spawn. Anko collapsed in relief as they had finally managed to defeat Itten, and approached his body to find that the behemoth of a man was still alive, and seeing such a valuable chance to gain sensitive information on IWA, Anko immediately took out a prisoner transport scroll from her belongings and sealed it, and inside it this would ensure that he would remain safe and secure till they reached Konoha, as Itten was in no immediate danger due to his injuries, as Itten had apparently activated the Earth Armor Jutsu before Naruto had hit him with a Rasengan, managing to prevent it from taking his life. She could safely capture Itten in the prisoner transport scroll till Naruto could stabilize him a little using the Mystic Palm Jutsu that Shizen had taught Naruto in the past month. She popped a chakra pill into her mouth to recover some of her flagging chakra reserves, bringing it back to nearly low Jounin level in preparation for the upcoming fight, with the reinforcements coming in their direction. While Naruto and Anko were dealing with it, and Naruto's clones were setting up numerous basic traps, as he didn't have time to set up any complicated traps. He was using nearly 30 of his customized explosive tags, which gave nearly twice the yield of a regular explosive tag in his traps, while a competent Chunin or even an experienced Genin could avoid his basic traps. The clones had sensed that the IWA shinobi were letting the bandits rush ahead of them, most probably using them as cannon fodder, and the clones had no problem using this fact to whittle down the numbers of the bandits, who numbered around 130 people. The traps were set such as to herd all the bandits together while killing as many of them as possible with the explosions, so that the clones could kill the remaining bandits using a massive collaboration jutsu when they were grouped together, with no chance of avoiding their jutsu within a few minutes of Naruto's clones setting up the traps and hiding themselves. The first trap was triggered, causing a massive explosion followed by a series of explosions. As multiple traps were triggered by the bandits, the clones sensed that more than half of the bandits were killed, and so they moved on to the next part of their plan, where they all launched a few kunai and used the kunai kage bunshin jutsu boosted by a small wind jutsu towards the remaining bandits, who had all grouped together in fear of activating any more traps, not even waiting to see how many of the bandits were killed. 5 out of the 10 shadow clones who had situated themselves around the kill zone that they had lured the bandits into flashed through some hand seals and softly intoned katan Gokaku no Jutsu as they launched fireballs at the remaining bandits and IWA shinobi, and these fireballs were further boosted in power by the remaining clones using the Futon Diatapa Jutsu to increase the destructive power of the fireball jutsu. The area the bandits along with the Awa shinobi were herded into exploded in a massive explosion, blinding the clones due to the bright light. The entire clearing went up in a massive conflagration. The clones were happy to sense that all the bandits had been wiped out, but all the 4 IWA shinobi had survived, but they had all used a massive amount of chakra to shield themselves from the massive fire-wind collaboration jutsu, as well as the following massive explosion caused by the fire activating the rest of the explosive seal traps, especially the Jounin, who had apparently used up nearly 3/4 of his chakra to shield himself and his Genin team from the fire and the massive explosion. Using an Earth Dome Jutsu to shield themselves, the clones had used up a considerable amount of their chakra, but decided to try to take out the Jounin sensei before dispelling, and so they all blitzed the Jounin, not allowing him any time to recover his chakra. The Jounin had sensed that these were all clones, and so decided to meet the 3 which were heading towards him head-on, thinking that he could dispel them easily with his taijutsu, instead of wasting any more of his chakra using ninjutsu. But He was not expecting for two of the clones to evade his first slightly disoriented blow, as his ears were still ringing from the explosion, by substituting with two kunai lying on the ground behind the Jounin from the clone's earlier attack, and attached themselves to his torso firmly using chakra before bursting into lightning, paralyzing him for a few moments. But it was enough for the third clone to remove his head from his shoulders using a lightning-enhanced blade. The genin couldn't do anything but watch helplessly as their Jounin sensei was decapitated before their eyes, as the other 7 clones were engaging them in combat, and they were finding it difficult to dispel these clones as they were surprisingly fast, and their earth jutsu were not fast enough to catch them. They had only managed to dispel 2 of the 7 clones attacking them by turning the earth beneath the clones into a mud pit and trapping them in it, catching them off guard. Deciding to finish the fight, 3 of the remaining 6 clones used all their remaining chakra to perform the hidden mist jutsu, and then they dispelled, while the 3 remaining clones took care of the genin, who were disoriented by the sudden dense mist and couldn't do anything, as all their throats were split using lightning-enhanced blades to bypass the earth armor jutsu that all the 3 genin had used to protect themselves from any surprise attacks from the clones hiding themselves in the dense mist. After making sure that all the enemies were dealt with, the remaining 3 clones also dispelled, sending back their memories to the original Naruto. As Naruto received all the memories from the clones he had sent ambush the other group of bandits and IWA shinobi, he blinked once and promptly emptied his stomach into an adjacent bush. He almost puked his guts out as he kept dry heaving for several minutes. Anko unsealed her first aid kit and forced a green pill down Naruto's throat in order to settle his stomach. After taking a few minutes to let Naruto recover from his puking fit, Anko placed a hand on his shoulder and asked in a very gentle voice, which was highly uncharacteristic of her, "What happened, Naruto?" "I slaughtered all of them, Anko-sensei," Naruto said in a trembling voice as he broke down in sobs, and Anko immediately hugged him to her bosom and rubbed his back in a soothing fashion. "What do you mean you slaughtered them all, Naruto? Take your time, but I will need to know all the details," Anko asked gently, as she was a little relaxed now knowing that all the enemies were dead, but she still couldn't believe how 10 of Naruto's clones had killed nearly 150 bandits. ABD for IWA shinobi, one of whom was a Jounin. Naruto tried to give her the details of what happened, but couldn't bring himself to speak about the slaughter he had committed, so instead he just created a shadow clone to explain the events that happened to Anko, while the original Naruto burrowed himself into Anko's chest to find comfort from the horrifying images and smells that kept repeating in his mind. Anko kept comforting the distraught Naruto as she listened to the details of the slaughter of the remaining bandits and IWA shinobi. Anko was proud of Naruto for using the limited amount of skills that he had to such devastating effect, but she was also sad that Naruto had to experience such bloodshed so early in his life. As Naruto's clone dispelled after completing its task, Naruto broke out into fresh sobs as he buried his head into her chest and hiccuped in a pitiful fashion as he said, "I underscore hic underscore am a underscore hic underscore monster underscore hic underscore," and he succumbed to another round of sobs. Anko disentangled herself from the hug and softly held Naruto's face in her hands and said in a soft but stern voice, "No, you are not a monster, Naruto. If you think that killing those people makes you a monster, then your hero, the Yondaime, killed thousands of shinobi. Would you consider him a monster? No, of course not. He is a hero." Naruto in a soft voice, "Then so are you. You followed your orders, Naruto. That is what a shinobi is supposed to do," Anko said in a soft voice as she tried to console him by soothing his guilty conscience. "I can't get that vision of hundreds of corpses and smell of burning corpses out of mind, Anko-sensei. Do you think it will become easier to take lives?" Naruto asked. "No, Naruto, it doesn't become any easier, and it is not supposed to become easier. You should never take any joy in killing anyone. That is what makes you human. Only people like my bastard of a former sensei Orochimaru enjoy killing people, Naruto. But yes, it becomes easier to deal with it. You just have to always remember why you are doing what you are doing," Anko said in an uncharacteristically serious voice. It took a few more minutes to gain control of his emotions, and then Anko had him stabilized the captured Itten with the small amount of medical jutsu that he had learned from Shizen. Naruto managed to stop his internal bleeding, but anything beyond that was beyond his current skill set. After making sure that Itten would not die before they reached Konoha, Anko sealed Jim back inside the prisoner transport scroll, and Anko created a shadow clone, and Naruto himself created 10 shadow clones to look around both the bandits' camps to see if they found anything useful. Bandit camp. While Anko was raiding the bandit camp, which Naruto's clones had destroyed for anything which would reveal the identity of the traitor to Konoha in Kiba village. Naruto was doing the same, and the camp that Itten was stationed in. Naruto didn't find anything worthwhile, but he definitely didn't expect to find a massive wooden cage near the tent of what appeared to be of the bandit leader, which consisted of several women of ages ranging from what appeared to be 10 years to somewhere around 40 years. They were huddling together in the back of the cage, from what Naruto assumed to be the sounds of the battle between them and the bandits. There appeared to be nearly 40 of them in total. Naruto picked up a long wooden stick from the forest floor and lit one end of it on fire in order to use it as a makeshift torch to see in the dark. Naruto was appalled to see the conditions of the women who had all been clearly abducted by the bandits. Their clothes were torn in many places, and it was clear to Naruto that they had all been sexually assaulted. Their ribs were sticking out, and their faces were gaunt and cheeks sunken, and as the bandits had clearly starved them, the appalling quality of the scene he was seeing was such that Naruto's blood boiled in anger. He couldn't ever remember ever being this angry, not even when he had been using the Kyuubi's chakra. Chakra exploded around him, forming a visible corona of bright blue energy around him. He couldn't understand how one human being could inflict such brutalities upon another human. He couldn't believe that someone would hurt little children like that. Naruto was now wishing that he had not killed the bandits that quickly and had made them suffer more, that he had prolonged their death. As Naruto's anger increased, he started emitting killing intent, and only a soft whimper shook him out of his bloodlust-filled state of mind. When Naruto saw the women backing away from him looking terrified, he regretted his loss of control and brought back his chakra under control so as to not further traumatize the already clearly suffering women. Naruto knew that he immediately needed to release these women, but he also knew that a male stranger approaching them would be no good in their current state, so Naruto backed away slowly to a short distance so that he was out of their range of vision, and with barely a thought, Naruto and 5 of his clones that he had created changed into a female version of himself. One other clone rushed off to inform Anko-sensei about what he had found, and the rest of his clones went about searching the rest of the campsite for a clue regarding the identity of the traitor. Naruto in his female form, or as he called himself, Naruko, and his clones slowly approached the cage and with a quick pull used his immense strength to wrench out the door of the cage from its hinges and threw it away. Naruto slowly approached a relatively older woman and immediately raised both his hands into the air, showing his empty palms, indicating that he meant them no harm. When the woman tried to back away from him, "Oba-san, please don't be afraid, I am not going to harm you. In fact, I am here to free all of you. I want your help in calming down the others so that I can free you all as fast as possible. They would trust you much more than me," Naruto said in a soft female voice. Naruto was glad to see that his idea to approach the captured women as a female was successful, as he saw them all relax a little when they saw that the person who had approached them was a female. Seeing that the women were a little relaxed, Naruto went from one woman to woman, cutting off the ropes binding them and making his clones gently carry them into the empty tents of the bandits. As he had already cleared them of all the dead bodies, he took all the children along with a few older women to the tent of the bandit chief in order to help them comfort the clearly traumatized children and helping Naruto in making them sleep, as they could all use a good night's sleep, especially in their current situation. Kami only knew when any one of them had had a pleasant night's sleep. Just thinking about what all they had suffered almost caused him to lose control of his chakra again, but he knew that the needs of the women and children came before winning out his anger, so he didn't let any of his anger show on his face as he carried a small child in his arms and deposited her on one of the beds he had laid out in the massive tent of the dead bandit chief. As soon as he had all the women comfortably settled down, he reverted to his original form, as he didn't want to deceive these poor people. They were clearly startled and were terrified, but he just raised his hands and said, "I am sorry, but I didn't know how else to make you people trust me enough to help you people. I have no intention of harming any of you people. In fact, you don't need to fear the people who kidnapped you any longer, as I made sure of that. In fact, they won't trouble anyone else ever again," Naruto said in a steely tone of voice. The older women seemed to get what he was saying as they relaxed a little when they realized that Naruto had killed all their tormentors, and then they saw his height, and one of the women asked him, "Are you a shinobi?" Naruto nodded his head and answered, "Yes, Obasan, I am a Konoha shinobi. Me and my sensei were here on a mission to clear out the bandits. I took care of them and was going through the camp when I came across you." They relaxed a little when they heard that he was a Konoha shinobi, so Naruto assumed that they were definitely citizens of the Land of Fire. "If you would tell me where you all are from, I will make sure that you all are safely taken back to your homes," Naruto asked. He learned that they were all from a nearby village and had been kidnapped a few days ago when all the men of the village were out farming. Naruto was startled to see the little girl whom he had carried gently clutch his hand and ask, "And Isan, the bad man won't come back, will they?" The terrified expression on her innocent face broke his Heart no sweetheart, they won't come back. You're in ice and made sure that no one else will harm you. This I promise, Naruto said in a soft voice. Another child approached him and asked in Isan, what is your name? My name is Naruto, sweetheart, he answered like the ramen topping. The girl who had first talked to him asked him while giggling in amusement. Yes, exactly like the ramen topping, Naruto agreed, much to the amusement of the little girl. Seeing her laughing in amusement, he quickly lifted her up in his arms before twirling her and then seating her on top of his shoulders. You seem to like making fun of my name. What is your name then? Naruto asked with a smile on his face, making sure that the little girl knew that he was not all angry at her making fun of him. My name is Sayuri and I am 10 years old, she said in a cute adorable voice and nodded her head firmly in confirmation on seeing her cute expression. As she tried to act serious, Naruto cooed in delight and hugged her tightly and tried to cuddle with her as he said, you are so cute. Who is a cutie? You are a cutie. You are. The little girl tried to squirm out of his grasp as she giggled. You are not a ninja, you are a cuddle monster, she accused him, said while trying to sound angry at him, but couldn't stop her giggles. Seeing him acting so friendly with the little girl, the other women also completely relaxed and let Naruto use the mystical palm jutsu to treat the majority of their wounds. Naruto knew that though he had healed their physical wounds, the psychological trauma from their suffering would take a while to subside. The one thing he was happy to see was that the little girls were not victims of sexual assault. It took a while, but Naruto finally managed to make sure that all the women and children were asleep before he created a few shadow clones to keep watch over them while he went outside to see what Anko-sensei was doing. As he had sensed a clone of hers coming back to this camp, Naruto found a clone of Anko-sensei waiting outside the tent he was in, reading a letter that his clone had found in Iton's tent. He had already got the knowledge of the contents of the letter as his clone had read it before handing it to Anko and had dispelled afterwards to inform him of what happened. The letter read as follows: Shinobi-san, Konoha has sent a two-man team to eliminate the bandits. It consists of a female jounin named Anko Mitarashi and a genin named Naruto Uzumaki. They have no idea about your presence or who is really behind the theft of the chakra metal. You can go ahead with your plan to capture a Konoha jounin to find out sensitive information about Konoha. I also intercepted their request to Konoha for reinforcements. There will be a massive shipment of chakra metal to Konoha tomorrow. I will meet you early morning tomorrow at 5 a.m. near the remote waterfall near the Kusa border, a few miles from Kuba village, and inform you about the travel details of the shipment. This will be the last time I can help you for a while, as the old man is getting suspicious of someone close to him being a traitor. Yours faithfully, your friend. This was what we have been searching for. With this we can catch the traitor by one of us using the Henge no Jutsu to look like it, and we can catch the culprit red-handed, and I can break him to find out if any other traitors are present, Anko said in an excited voice, as this was the lead that they had been searching for. By the way, I saw how you handled those women and children. Good job, Naruto. Even I couldn't have handled that situation any better. I found another 20 such kidnapped women at the other camp and I was busy freeing them, SND consoling them, and as such was busy when you sent your clone. But as it turns out that there was no need for me, as you handled the situation well. After I made sure that all of them were comfortable, I sent a clone to you. The original and some water clones are guarding the women in the other camp after dealing with the traitor and any accomplices that he has. We will make sure that all these women and children safely reach their villages. Now you get ready. You have only 2 hours before you have to be at the predetermined meeting point that the traitor was supposed to meet at, and so make sure that you leave a few shadow clones to protect the camp while you deal with the traitor. The Anko clone said. Alone? Naruto asked. Yes, alone. You can deal with one civilian traitor, and the condition of the women in the other camp is very horrible. I will need to be there to console them, and also I want a few of your clones to henge into a female form and heal them as best as they can, Anko said, her voice almost spitting venom when she thought about the condition of those poor women. And also it seems that this traitor was the one who intercepted the request for reinforcements that I had sent to Konoha. I did wonder why the reinforcements didn't come, as this place is not that far from Konoha, at least for Shinobi. Anko wondered. Naruto nodded and took off towards the waterfall and used the henge to appear like it and lay in wait for the traitor. Naruto took to meditating and trying to expand his chakra sensing range in order to while away the time before the meeting was supposed to take place, as otherwise he would lose his mind due to boredom. It was nearly 2 hours later that Naruto sensed 3 chakra signatures approaching his position, and all were in the civilian range of chakra reserves. As soon as they came within his range of vision, Naruto disappeared from his position in a burst of speed and appeared behind the 2 guards and snapped both their necks and chopped the back of the neck of the apparent leader, rendering him unconscious. I am not in the mood to pretend like it and try to wheedle information out of him. Anko-sensei can have fun breaking him, Naruto thought, looking in disgust at the unconscious body of the traitor whom Naruto was sure knew about the women in the camp and still supported those Scumbags. Naruto simply hoisted the unconscious body over his shoulder and returned to the camp and dumped the body in front of Anko and said, "Sensei, have fun breaking him. I'm going to take a nap. I am mentally exhausted." And Naruto went away to take a nap in his sleeping bag, leaving the traitor to the non-existent mercy of Anko. Naruto was sure that by the mood that Anko-sensei was in that the traitor would wish that he was dead by the time that she was done with him, but surprisingly to himself, Naruto didn't give a single shit about what happened to him. In Naruto's opinion, he deserved whatever he got. Naruto woke up a few hours later to find that Anko had successfully broken down the traitor. Naruto washed his face and brushed his teeth using a bottle of water and asked Anko, "So what did you find, sensei?" "Well, kiddo, it seems that Dao-san here is a very naughty boy," she said, pointing to the middle-aged man sitting at her feet, with an almost empty look in his eyes. It seemed that Anko had well and truly broken him. He was planted in Kuba village during the Third Shinobi War by the Tsuchikage. Due to its importance to Konoha, he later managed to seduce the daughter of Hibiki-san, the village leader, and became his son-in-law. He has been smuggling small quantities of chakra metal to IWA since the end of the previous war, the total quantity of which is truly worrying. He also seems to have a good amount of knowledge on the other spies belonging to IWA in the southern part of Fire Country, as he was apparently their head. This man is truly a goldmine of information. Apparently IWA has been ramping up its war preparation, hence this daring operation to openly steal chakra metal in big quantities, as they thought that Konoha had become rather weak, what with the recent sound invasion, the death of the Sandai Hokage, and the loss of the Kyuubi. With the knowledge I have obtained from this man, we can wipe out a vast number of IWA spies in Fire Country. Anko said giddily, as catching this man was truly a boon for Konoha, and in addition to the information they could obtain from it in this mission, which initially seemed like a clusterfuck, was turning out to be a boon for Konoha. "So, are there any more of his agents in Kuba village?" asked Naruto. "Yes, there are 10 other people in Kuba who work for Dao, and they help him in hiding his smuggling operation, but thankfully for us, Hibiki-san is staunchly loyal to Konoha and had no knowledge of this. And neither did his daughter. They are both innocent. We need to immediately wipe out those men who work for him before they notice his absence and decide to abscond." "Anko-sensei, do you think that you could take care of them yourself? I have had enough of killing for a single day." Naruto asked Anko in a pleading voice, as he really was tired of killing this many people in a single day, and while now he didn't regret killing any of the bandits, he couldn't say that he had suddenly become comfortable with killing people. He was not sure that he would ever be comfortable with killing people, but Naruto knew that he would do his duty regardless of his personal feelings. Anko nodded understandingly, as she knew that the number of people that Naruto had to kill in the past single day was more than what many Chunin she knew had killed in their entire shinobi career, so she decided to take care of the remaining traitors herself, and left a few water clones of herself to comfort any of the abused women if they woke up due to a nightmare. Anko slipped into the houses of all the associates of Dao and released her snake summons to bite them and poison them to death. Anko had noted the names and houses of his associates. After having Dao give her details about all his associates, it took her only a few minutes to make sure that all 10 of them would not see the next day's sunrise. She quickly slipped out of their houses and proceeded to Hibiki-san's house to meet him and explain the situation and the deception performed by his son-in-law, as well as take care of the last remaining traitor. Anko appeared in Hibiki-san's bedroom by slipping through his bedroom window and slowly shook him awake and motioned for him to be quiet. Hibiki was shocked to see a strange person in his bedroom and waking him up, but he quickly recognized Anko and kept quiet at her signal. She led him to his office and bolted the door behind her. "Hibiki-san, I think it would be best if you sit down, as this news will be particularly shocking to you," Anko said in a soft voice, as she liked the jovial old man and she was sad that she had to give him such bad news. "What happened, Anko-san? You are scaring me," asked Hibiki as he took a seat. "Your suspicions about a traitor were correct, Hibiki-san. He, along with some others, were working with IWA to steal the chakra metal, and this is not a new thing. That person has been smuggling small amounts of chakra metal to IWA for nearly the past decade, and the entirety of it amounts to a large amount of chakra metal. They used the recent setbacks suffered by Konoha as an advantage to ramp up their operation, as IWA seems to be gearing up for war, and this large amount of chakra metal would prove invaluable to them, as there have been rumors that the supply of chakra metal from the land of stone to IWA has been dwindling, as the reserves of chakra metal in Stone Country have been dwindling." Anko said. Hibiki was shocked but composed himself and asked, "Who is that traitor?" Anko-san, I am sorry to inform you about this, Ibiki-san, but the spy was none other than your son-in-law. Dao. Anko informed him. No, that can't be true. I admit that I am not very fond of him, but he is no spy. Ibiki vehemently denied it is true. Ibiki-san, we found a letter in the tent of the Iwa Jounin from your village detailing our names and how he intercepted our message to Konoha. For reinforcements, we also saw the time for another meeting between the spy and the Iwa Jounin, and instead of the Iwa Jounin, we went there and caught your son-in-law in the act red-handed. After I broke him using some pretty gruesome illusions, he confessed that he was a plant by Iwa after the Third Shinobi War, and he also seduced and married your daughter in order to get close to you and be in a position to smuggle chakra metal to Iwa. He also had your son murdered so that all your business and authority would pass on to your daughter and indirectly to him. In fact, he also had plans to take care of you too, and so he planted an agent in your security guards. In fact, my clone will be bringing that traitor in as we are speaking. Anko said. The old man collapsed in his seat in horror of the grand conspiracy that had been weaved around his family. Learning that the bastard Dao had not only made use of his daughter to get close to him but also had his son killed had his blood boiling in anger. He was about to ask what happened to Dao when there was a knock at his office door. Looks like my clone is here, Anko exclaimed, and went and opened the door and found her clone with the aforementioned traitorous guard unconscious and draped over her shoulder. Anko simply dispelled her clone and dragged the knocked out man inside the room before closing the room again. Anko gave the unconscious man a small jolt of lightning to wake him up. He jerked awake and looked around in shock as the last thing he remembered was standing guard outside Ibiki-san's house before suddenly his vision went dark. But as he took in his surroundings, he realized that he was in Ibiki-san's office, and looking at the angry faces of Ibiki-san and the kunoichi from Konoha, he realized with dread that he had been busted and his treachery been caught. Ibiki looked at his treacherous security guard and said in a deadly calm voice, Oboro Dao has been caught red-handed, and we know everything about you and your task to eliminate me when the time was right, so you better confess everything or else you would wish that you were dead by the time Anko-san here is done with you, and pointed to Anko, who was looking at him with a sadistic glint in her eye as she smiled disturbingly at the guard while licking the edge of the kunai that she had been twirling in her hand. Seeing no other option, he fell at Ibiki-san's feet and begged him, please forgive me. Ibiki-sama, Dao offered me a lot of money to do what he says. Please forgive me, and I will be forever loyal to you. Just spare me this once, he pleaded in a pathetic voice. Ibiki looked at him with disgust and turned towards Anko, saying, take him away, Anko-san, and do what you must. I don't want him in my presence for one more second. Anko simply knocked out Oboro before he could react to Ibiki-san's judgment. She then addressed Hibiki, saying, all the other people who work for Dao are also dead, and I will take care of this one soon enough, pointing to the unconscious body. Our mission here is completed, Hibiki-sama, so if you would sign here then we will depart. Anko gave Hibiki a set of documents and was about to depart after taking his signature when Hibiki addressed her, saying, Anko-san, do you mind escorting the shipment of chakra metal to Konoha leaving this afternoon, as I don't want anything happening to it again? Anko thought about it for a moment and said, no problem, Hibiki-san, me and my student will take care of that, but would you be kind enough to provide us with a few carts, as there were a few kidnapped women in the bandit camp and we would like to get them to their homes safely? No problem, it would be my pleasure. I can provide you with 10 carts. If you need anything else then please don't hesitate to ask me, as I am in your debt now. Maybe my remaining family can recover, the old man said, and Anko bade her goodbye and took the 10 carts with her by making her water clones drive them to the camp, but not before killing Oboro and having her personal snake summon Soraya eat his body. It was late afternoon by the time Naruto and Anko had safely dropped off all the women in the nearby villages and returned to Kuba village. They did have a particular difficulty in making little Sayuri leave behind Naruto, as she had taken a shine to him, saying that she wanted to be strong like him. Naruto had been very touched at her gesture when she gave him her favorite blue scarf to remember her by. He would miss that precocious little girl who, as it turns out, was an orphan like himself and was being raised by her grandparents. Naruto had the blue scarf tied around his neck. It took Naruto and Anko another 2.5 days to return to Konoha, as they were escorting the caravan back to Konoha and therefore had to move at a slow pace, but thankfully they didn't face any problems except for some idiotic bandits whom Anko had quickly taken care of without any fuss. As soon as Naruto and Anko signed themselves in through the village gates of Konoha, they immediately headed to the Hokage's office and entered her office. Quickly entered, as apparently she was free to take visitors. Hokage's office. So let me get this straight, you went on a simple C-ranked mission of bandit elimination, but instead Naruto fought and killed nearly 250 bandits, 6 IWA genin and a jounin, and the both of you together captured it in the Diamond Dog of IWA, along with catching a spy who has been operating from Kuba Town for nearly 16 years and has smuggled a few tons of precious chakra metal to IWA through the years. Am I missing something? Tsunade asked with a flabbergasted expression on her face as she still couldn't believe what had happened. She was still coming to terms with how much of a clusterfuck the supposedly simple mission had turned out into. She couldn't even blame them for engaging the enemy, as they had a solid plan and were expecting reinforcements, which was sabotaged by the spy. But she also knew that the only reason that both of them had survived the fight with Itten was because of their surprise use of a combination of poison and Fuinjutsu. Unable to do anything else, she just got up from her seat and pulled Naruto into a tight hug as she thought about him dying out there with no help in sight. She vowed to make the IWA spy beg for death when she got her hands on him, which won't be long, as he was currently in TI enjoying Ibiki's hospitality. Tsunade felt Naruto relaxing in her embrace and made a note to talk to him later about how he was dealing with the trauma of his first kill. She could still remember how traumatized she had been when she had first killed a person, even though it had been nearly 35 years since then. But Tsunade knew that capturing Itten was a major coup for Konoha, as he was a very highly placed shinobi in the ranks of IWA ninja, and his information about the forces of IWA, their troop movements, their allies, their secret bases, and other sensitive information would be invaluable to them. Currently Itten was securely held in the hospital wing of the ANBU headquarters, where Inoichi was waiting to be given the all-clear to go through his mind and get them the answers they needed before dismissing them. Tsunade asked Anko, "Is there anything else that you wish to report?" Naruto shook his head in the negative, while Anko smacked her head in annoyance, as she had indeed forgotten something. "Sorry Hokage-sama, but it seems that Dao used to smuggle chakra metal into IWA through Kusa, who took a small amount of the smuggled chakra metal as their commission, so we can assume that Kusa will side with IWA in case of a war." And also Dao sent a message to the Tsuchikage about Naruto and me being the team who were sent to Kuba Town, so when he finds out about the failure of his smuggling operation and that Itten and Dao were both captured, then he is going to go bonkers in anger, tell his shinobi to kill Naruto if they cross paths. And I also obtained the location of the last 2 shipments of chakra metal that they had stolen from Kuba Town, as they had not yet smuggled it into IWA. It is located in a cave system in Kusa, and if you send in an experienced ANBU team, then you can recover it by storing it in one of Naruto's personalized storage seals. Saying this, Anko handed over a map marked with the location of the cave where the stolen chakra metal was stored and waiting to be transported to IWA. After the final shipment of chakra metal was also stolen, which Naruto and Anko had prevented. "Very good, both of you. The mission was a success. You both performed flawlessly. I will designate it as an S-ranked mission, and I will split the bounty for it in between you both. You can collect your money from the mission payment office." And as far as Kusa's allegiance goes, it is not a surprise, as they have sided against us in all the 3 shinobi wars, and it is not exactly a surprise that they would side against us again, especially after the slaughter that the Yoname Hokage performed against their forces during the 3rd shinobi war. In Naruto, I will need 5 of your specialized storage scrolls, for which you will be suitably compensated, Tsunade said. Naruto readily handed over the 5 personalized storage scrolls that he had with him to Tsunade. "Okay, you head on to home, Naruto, and take rest. I will talk with you in the evening." You both are dismissed. You don't have any missions above D rank for another week. And Anko and Naruto left the Hokage Tower after collecting their paycheck and bounty, saying goodbye to each other. Anko immediately went to enjoy some of her precious dango and red bean soup, and Naruto decided to just head home and sleep for a while, as he was both physically and mentally exhausted. As soon as Naruto and Anko left her office, Tsunade snapped her fingers and called out "Cat," and a cat-masked ANBU with purple hair tied in a ponytail appeared in front of her, standing on one knee and head bowed in respect. "Yes, Hokage-sama," the ANBU asked. Tsunade simply handed her the map that Anko had given her and said, "I want you to lead a team consisting of 3 more ANBU and retrieve all THR stolen chakra metal that is stored in the location marked in this map, and make sure that you are not discovered, as even though it is our property, this is located in Kusa no Kuni. And also take these modified storage scrolls with you. You can easily seal the massive amounts of chakra metal inside these storage scrolls, which were modified by Naruto." Tsunade said, handing the 5 storage scrolls that she had obtained From Naruto to Cat took them from the Hokage and bowed her head saying your orders will be carried out Hokage-sama, and she departed from the Hokage's office to select a team and carry out her orders. TI headquarters. Tsunade stepped into the TI headquarters to find Ibiki and Inoichi waiting for her. By your presence here, should I assume that you have completed your mind walk on it? And Inoichi Tsunade asked the Yamanaka clan head. Yes Hokage-sama, I had just finished writing down my findings when you arrived. Inoichi answered and handed her a document where he had recorded all his findings. Tsunade simply placed the file on a table and said I will go through it thoroughly later on, but for now just give me a brief synopsis. Inoichi, as you wish Hokage-sama, Inoichi said, bowing his head slightly in deference to her. As per Iton's knowledge of Iwa's forces, they are about equal to us in military might. Inoki has been contracting the Akatsuki to carry out the high-risk missions instead of sending out his own forces, thereby limiting the casualties for IWA. We would have been a little ahead of them in terms of military might, but the casualties that we suffered during the recent Sand Sound invasion set us back a lot, and that is not taking into account the Kyubi attack and the Uchiha massacre. But we have a higher number of Jounin compared to them, as Yoname-sama and Jiraiya-sama almost wiped out their entire Jounin and Chunin force during the battles of Kanobi Bridge and Tenchi Bridge respectively, and though it has been nearly 16 years since then, it takes a long time for a person to reach Jounin level, and only very rare individuals reach that age before at least 17. That is one factor in our favor. They currently have 3S ranked shinobi: Inoki Han of the 5 tails and Rashi of the 4 tails, and though Rashi's strength has decreased a lot in his elder years, he is still an S-ranked shinobi, and Kitsuchi is currently Kakashi's equal, as Kakashi has lost his edge since his retirement from ANBU, but Kakashi still holds an edge over Kitsuchi due to his mastery of lightning ninjutsu. And Itsuchi, that Tsuchikage's bodyguard, is also a formidable shinobi specializing in taijutsu, but we have Guy to counter him, but we don't have a Jinchuriki of our own to counter Han and Rashi. And while Jiraiya-sama is a seal master and capable of taking out one of them with his sage mode, even he can't take on 2 Jinchuriki with full control of their Bijou, even though Han does not have full control over the 5 tails Bijou. And while you can probably defeat Rashi, his lava-style jutsu might prove difficult for you to counter, and also the Hokage should only enter the battlefield as a last resort, and countering Inoki will be a nightmare without Sandaime-sama. And as we are allied with Suna and Takigara, may be able to defeat Rashi, but the Nanabai Jinchuriki doesn't seem to be strong enough to stand up to the monsters we are talking about. But Guy may be able to deal with Han if he uses the Celestial Gates technique extensively, but that will have its own drawbacks. Inoichi concluded, troublesome, but you haven't explored the most likely possibility of them colluding with Kumo, and then we will have to deal with Ibidarui, and the 2 tails Jinchuriki B is a nightmare to battle against, as he is a master of lightning release. A Kenjutsu master has full control over his Bijou. And then there's Ai with his famed lightning cloak. With the death of Minato-sama, Ai is undoubtedly the fastest shinobi and one of the strongest taijutsu users alive. The only shinobi we have who is capable of dealing with Ai is Jiraiya-sama in his sage mode, and Guy, if he opens at least 7 of the inner gates Hokage-sama, you might be able to deal with Ai, as your strength is superior to his, but his speed will prove difficult to counter for you. We currently don't have the strength to go to war with them and win. We need our shinobi to ramp up their training in order to be able to deal with these threats, and none in the new generation of shinobi have the potential to become monsters in combat other than Naruto. From what I have heard about his progress in the mission report I read today, he is well on his way to become a monster of a shinobi, but he will need at least another 1.5 to 2 years to become an S-rank shinobi, and a seal master. We will need to cause extensive damage to IWA in order to prevent the outbreak of war for another few years, allowing us to build up our strength. In the meantime, interjected the Jounin commander Shikaku Nara in an uncharacteristically serious voice. He had entered the room after Inoichi had entered the room, but we might benefit if Akatsuki deals with some of the Jinchuriki, although letting a rogue group of mercenaries have control of destructive forces of nature such as Bijou is not a good idea, and we also don't know whom Hanzo will side with if there's war. And though underestimating Hanzo of the Salamander is not a mistake that we should make, I think that it is time to increase the training of our forces. Tsunade-sama, the genin currently coming out of the academy over the past few years have been abysmal in quality, and I am including my own son in that category. Shikaku continued. Tsunade gritted her teeth in anger and frustration, but knew that the assessment given by Inoichi and Shikaku was spot on. Tsunade looked at Shikaku sharply and said, "I know you Naras well, you wouldn't talk this much if you didn't already have a solution in mind, so just spit it out." Shikaku groaned out aloud, "Troublesome woman," and said, "Yes indeed, I have an idea, but I warn you that you may not like it." "Tsunade-sama, just spit out Shikaku and don't test my patience as I am not in a good mood," Tsunade said, angry at Shikaku's attempts to beat around the bush. "As you wish, Tsunade-sama, I know about your plan to make Naruto sweep the Chunin exams in Kumo. We know that the Tsuchikige's granddaughter as well as his apprentice are competing as well. My plan is to announce Naruto as the son of the Yellow Flash and the Red Death at the Chunin exams, and as soon as we announce that, Inoki will instruct his genin to kill Naruto. So what if we provoke Inoki to take action against Naruto after the Chunin exams on the way back to Konoha by making Naruto kill his granddaughter, or his apprentice Inoki in his rage will definitely send the best of his forces to accomplish that task, and we can lay an ambush for them, thus striking a significant blow to Iwa's strength and forcing them to postpone the war in order to build up their forces up again, and we can make use of this extra preparation time." Shikaku laid out his plan. All the members in the conference room almost fainted as the air around Tsunade exploded in a corona of bright blue chakra, and the floor started cracking from the density of her chakra. It was as if a weight was crushing them to the floor. Shikaku especially found it especially hard to breathe as Tsunade turned her murderous gaze on him. Tsunade was about to beat the living shit out of him as she angrily exclaimed, "You want to make a genin the target of Inoki's ire by having him kill his granddaughter or apprentice after already revealing that he is the son of Iwa's sworn enemy? Are you out of your mind?" "Shikaku, I was already having second thoughts about revealing Naruto's heritage to the world before he becomes an S-ranked. You want me to do this? Force Naruto on a suicide mission." Inoichi managed to collect himself against the incredible might of Tsunade's chakra pressure and pleaded with her, "Tsunade-sama, even I don't like this idea, but Shikaku is right. This is the only way to delay the war for a few years and build up our strength. Please cool down. Naruto is already Chunin level in strength. We have nearly 5 months to prepare him for this. With extensive training we can make sure that he is nearly mid to high Jounin in strength by that time, and we can make sure that Kakashi and Jiraiya-sama are there with him while using him as bait. I have heard that Kakashi has also intensified his training, so even he will be at least low S rank by that time. If we can find a way to limit the chakra drain from his Sharingan, please think with a cool head, Tsunade-sama." Tsunade managed to control her temper with a Herculean effort, as she forced her mind to think about Shikaku's proposal. Her mind, the raw intellect of a Kage, was telling her that Shikaku's proposal had merit, but her heart, which considered Naruto as her son and all but blood, instantly rejected any such thought. After thinking for a few minutes, Tsunade came to a decision and said firmly, "I will be revealing to Naruto his heritage as well as your proposal, Shikaku, and I will also explain the importance of it to him, and I will leave the final choice to him, as I am not going to force a possible suicide mission onto the shoulders of a nearly 14-year-old boy." Tsunade left the room after that declaration, leaving no more room for discussion. As soon as Tsunade left the room, Ibiki smirked in amusement, which formed a ghastly expression on his half-burned face as he said, "You just dodged a kunai, Shikaku. Tsunade-sama was just a second away from beating you to death. Inoichi definitely saved your life." "Bloody troublesome blonde violent woman," Shikaku grumbled as he felt a shiver down his spine as he realized that he had indeed escaped his death by a whisker. Inoichi had definitely saved his life. Tsuchikige's office. The wall opposite to the Tsuchikige's chair vanished in a flash of white as it was vaporized by a beam of white energy belonging to the Tsuchikige's famed dust release. Inoki broke his desk in two by smashing it with his fist while covering it with earth chakra as he shouted at his spymaster, "You imbecile, do you mean to tell me that a genin and S special Jounin killed more than 200 bandits, 7 of our shinobi, 6 of whom were genin, 1 Jounin, and above all that they defeated it in a ranked elite Jounin?" The aforementioned spymaster could do nothing but nod his head in assent as he shook in fright due to the massive killing intent being released by the Tsuchikage. "The Hokage most probably already knows all about our military might and other sensitive information," shouted Inoki as he slapped his forehead in frustration at this new disaster. Not only had he lost one of his strongest shinobi, but he had also lost the supply of chakra metal, as Konoha had apparently stolen back the chakra metal that they had been attempting to steal. This had quickly turned out to be a disaster. He had never expected a shinobi of Iton's caliber to be defeated and captured by a lowly genin and a special Jounin. He wondered where Konoha kept finding these apparent geniuses in every generation, though he had to admit that an Uzumaki was always a troublesome opponent to deal with, what with their pesky sealing jutsu. Never knew what crazy sealing technique that would use. He still remembered how a few thousand Uzumaki clansmen had almost destroyed the entirety of the invasion force consisting of the shinobi from Iwa Kumo and Kiri. They had managed to destroy the Uzumaki, but those damn seal masters had made the cost too high and they couldn't even find anything worthwhile in the ruins of Yuzu. They were mostly sealed away using some high-level fuinjutsu. He could still remember that red-haired she-devil Kushina Uzumaki and her cursed chakra chains, which she used to hold off both Han and Rashi alone during the Third Shinobi War, preventing them from reinforcing his forces at the Battle of Kanobi Bridge, allowing the cursed Yellow Flash to massacre his forces. Katsuchi tried to calm down his father as he said, "Dad, would you calm down please? Yes, Konoha knows about the strength of our forces, but it doesn't change the fact that we are currently in a stronger position than them, and not to mention the possible alliance with Kumo with which we can easily overwhelm them and destroy them once and for all." Inoki took a deep breath and took a few moments to calm down and said, "You are right, son, but anyway, change all our secret bases and security protocols, and I want this Uzumaki to be placed in the bingo book as a B-ranked threat and 50,000 Ryo as a bounty for his head. Who knows, someone may kill him for the bounty and solve a problem for us, because if he grows up and becomes a seal master, then he will become a thorn in our side. Now get lost." Inoki dismissed his spymaster.